In the quiet town of Ajabo Heights, everyone thought the old town clock was just a broken decoration. For as long as anyone could remember, its hands were frozen at 11:11 p.m. Adults ignored it. Kids made fun of it, but 14-year-old Daniel saw things others didn't. He noticed strange patterns, like the streetlights near the clock tower flickering every single night at exactly 11:10, or how all the stray cats would suddenly scatter from the clock just a minute later. When he told his friends, they just laughed and nicknamed him Detective. One hot, sticky Friday night, the power went out. Daniel's digital watch buzzed on his wrist. 11:10 p.m. He looked out his window, and right on schedule, the streetlights began to flicker. His heart started to pound. He slipped on his slippers and snuck outside into the eerie silence. The whole street was dead quiet, no humming generators, no distant music, not even a dog barking, just a soft tick tick tick, coming from somewhere nearby, but that was impossible. The town clock was broken, right? Daniel found himself walking towards the old clock tower, the air thick with the smell of dust and old metal. He saw a narrow staircase spiraling up into the darkness. As he climbed, the ticking grew louder and louder. Then, halfway up, he heard another sound: footsteps directly above him. He froze. The footsteps stopped to "Hello." He called out, his voice barely a whisper. Silence. Taking a deep breath, he kept climbing. When he finally pushed open the door to the clock room, his heart nearly jumped out of his chest. The giant clock mechanism was moving, gears turned, chains shifted, and everything was in motion. But that wasn't what scared him. Standing right next to the machine was a boy. He looked about Daniel's age, but he was wearing old-fashioned school clothes and staring right at him. Hi," Daniel managed to say, trying to sound brave. The boy tilted his head. "You can see me," he whispered, his voice sounding thin and distant. A shiver ran down Daniel's spine. "Shouldn't I?" The boy didn't smile. They usually can't. The room suddenly felt colder. Daniel forced himself to ask, "Who are you?" The boy hesitated for a moment before answering quietly, "My name is Tund. I've been here a very long time." The way he said it made Daniel's stomach twist into a knot. "How long?" Daniel asked. Tund looked up at the massive, moving clock. "Since the night the clock stopped." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. "But the clock just started moving tonight." Tund's eyes slowly met his again. "That's because," he said softly, "you're the one who restarted it." Before Daniel could even process what that meant, a deep, metallic clang echoed through the room. The clock hands lurched forward. 11:12 became 11:13. The whole tower trembled. Tund stepped closer, his voice filled with urgency. "Listen carefully. When the clock reaches midnight, someone else will take my place." Daniel was completely bewildered. "Take your place where?" Tund pointed a trembling finger at the giant, turning gears. And then Daniel saw it. Tucked away inside the machinery was a narrow metal platform. It was covered in scratch marks, like someone had been trapped there, trying to get out. His heart started hammering against his ribs. "You mean?" "Yes," Tund said, his voice barely audible. "The clock doesn't just tell time." Another loud clang shook the room. 11:13 to 11:14, Daniel's watch started buzzing like crazy on his wrist. "What happens at midnight?" he asked, his voice shaking. Tund's face grew dark with fear. "At midnight," he whispered, "the clock chooses who stays." Panic surged through Daniel. "How do we stop it?" For the first time, hope flickered in Tund's eyes. "There is a key," he said quickly. "Hidden when the clock first broke. If we find it before midnight, we both go free." Another violent clang. 11:14 gives 11:15. The tower shook harder this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. Daniel clenched his fists. "Then what are we waiting for?" Tund looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, he smiled faintly. "Good," he said, "because the last person who came here ran away." The staircase below them suddenly creaked, slow, heavy footsteps coming up. Both boys froze. Daniel whispered, "Tell me that's not." Tund's face had gone pale. "That," he said softly, "is the clock keeper." To see what happens next, find part 2 on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe.